Reylo. You've heard of it, and you either love it or you absolutely hate it. Well, I'm sitting down with the breaker of the YouTube algorithm, Vincent Vendetta, who has done the best Reylo theory explanation videos online. He and I are going to dive deep on this topic, talk about why we are both damn sure it is happening, what we think about people that are denying it, and we're going to discuss the general disconcerted nature of the Star Wars fan base right now and how that has tainted Reylo. This is Nerds Talk Star Wars. Let's do this thing. And then I usually do like a little like cheesy music here.
Okay, I can hear it. Yep.
Nice. What is up, YouTube? I am Josh. That is Vince. We are here to talk some Reylo. This is Nerds Talk Star Wars. This is a show that I had on this channel a long time ago. It took a huge hiatus, and Vince and I have been doing a lot of live streams over on his channel, and I was like, dude, you gotta be my first guest coming back for Nerds Talk Star Wars, and graciously, my friend Vince agreed to be here. So, Mr. Vincent Vendetta, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing pretty well. I'm feeling like this is gonna be a good one, man. I promised the Star Wars fans I missed an upload on Star Wars Sundays last week. And I promised them something special, and unbeknownst to you, it was this. And I actually said it was gonna be special before you even agreed to do it. So I'm glad that you did that. So
Yeah, that's you missed like one day, and then I say I miss a video and I don't upload for like 3 or 4 months. So you're doing pretty good if you're missing just like one day.
Yeah,
so.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll meet in the middle. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So let's get into part one. So part one of this Reylo breakdown is why Reylo is the truth. And as I said at the top, I mean, honestly, your videos, not even lying, like basically made me a Reylo believer. And we were going over right before The Last Jedi. I was going over all the different fan theories, and I love the theory videos that you were cranking out, and the Reylo videos, man. Part 1, 2, and 3 just take you through all of it. But having said that, you know, there are some people out there that still deny Reylo. You know what I mean? That are like, no, they're brother and sister, or different things like that. So, first question I have for you, sir, is there any doubt in your mind whatsoever that Reylo is not real? And do you think there's any chance that Kylo and Rey could be related?
Man, I don't see it. Like I don't see how it's even possible at this point. Considering like just the fact that Rian Johnson and everybody has been saying, like with the hands touching and how it's basically the closest thing to a sex scene in Star Wars, and even when Adam Driver, I didn't mention this in any videos or anything. I guess I haven't made a part 4 yet. And Adam Driver even said, like, when he was doing that hand touching, finger touching scene, like he was asking Rian Johnson, like, if Kylo has ever kissed a girl or not, right? And they're like talking back and forth about if he's had any intimate relationships with women. It's like, why would he even be asking that if he's just touching hands with his sister? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so obvious. Like, they're all pushing it. Even Daisy Ridley says, you know, that I guess I haven't heard much about Finn and Rey recently, but if there are any people still holding on to that, you know, Daisy Ridley has said that they're basically brother and sister.
Right.
You know, she wouldn't be saying that. I mean, why hasn't she said that Kylo and Rey are basically brother and sister?
Right,
you know what I mean? She said that about Finn. So, yeah, it's pretty much 100%. But that doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily be together in the end.
Right.
It's very possible that it's going to be like a very sad.
Right.
It could be a sad ending where they don't even go into a relationship at all. But Reylo is still canon if they don't go into a relationship. It's about the tension and the possibility and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, as I was thinking about this question, the one scenario in my head, because I was trying to think, like, is there any possibility that they're not going to do Reylo? And the one scenario that I can see is that basically because of what happened with The Last Jedi, if JJ decided to turn it and change it like last minute. Because, look, all the evidence that's out there, it really seems like this was endgame from Lucasfilm for the start. And the only way that I think it won't manifest itself is because of The Last Jedi. If JJ's like, oh man, the fans really aren't going to like this, let's change it. But even then, I really don't think that's a possibility. But what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, obviously there's always a possibility. You know what I mean? Like I don't want people finding this video when the 1% chance that they do retcon it or whatever,
Yeah.
and like, oh, it's impossible that Reylo won't happen, and then it doesn't happen. But because obviously, yeah, they could change it, but I highly doubt it, especially because J.J. Abrams, years before The Force Awakens even came out, he even was talking to people. He did an interview where people asked if there's going to be a central romance in the new Star Wars trilogy or movies, and he said yes, there will be. He said straight out there will be a central romance.
Right.
So there's that. It doesn't necessarily have to be Reylo, but he was so pumped about it, and how the way he was talking about it was going to be like the main focus of the movies.
Right.
And how it's going to be something that they haven't done before, which Reylo is something that hasn't been done before.
Exactly. Yep.
So, and now it's back in J.J. Abrams' hands. So, and I think he's the most diehard Reylo fan there is. So,
yeah,
I assume that he wouldn't change it, but obviously you never know.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. But that was the only thing in my head as I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I guess there's a small percentage chance that JJ could change it, even though it was set up. But as far as like the related thing, because a lot of people talk about like Luke and Leia and that kiss they had in Empire, and everyone's like, oh well, they're you find out that they're brother and sister. That's like a Star Wars thing, but I think it's like kind of different. You know what I mean? Because what happened with Luke and Leia, first of all, I don't think George had actually decided right then and there that they were going to be brother and sister. That didn't come until later. At that point, he did decide that Vader was going to be Luke's father. But if you ever read, there's a great book called How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, and it talks a lot about like the actual behind the scenes of what was going on in Lucas's head. There was a book that came out after the original Star Wars called Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and in that book, Leia and Luke are very, very romantic. But then that was turned into the start of the expanded universe and dropped from canon when Empire Strikes Back came out. So I don't know, man. I just do not think that because of the precedence of Luke and Leia, that means that Kylo and Ren being related to Rey is on the table. Do you agree with that?
Well, that does add evidence to, or the possibility that he could change it, right? Because they changed it. Right. They basically were supposed to be together until they decided in the third movie, that they're going to be brother and sister. So it is possible, and they made that decision after they already had them kissing. So
right.
It is possible, but that was, I think, they didn't really know what they wanted to do yet. I don't think that it was like that important to them that they were going to be in a relationship, so it was so easy to change. But
right.
I think that's kind of the entire point of these movies, and I think J.J. Abrams is so excited about this, and he wants it to be like a fairy tale. That's why he said that Kylo's a Disney prince.
Yeah, she's the princess hiding.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, there's something else I wanted to say there, but I kind of forgot.
Well, if you remember, let me know for sure. We'll go back to it. Now I want to talk about like the theories and get into a couple pieces of evidence here. And I put a few things on the show notes because, like I said, man, like your videos broke it down in a way where I was like, dude, there's no way this isn't real. And I went in. I remember doing the theory video or the live stream with James Razile before The Last Jedi came out, and I was straight up told him on that live stream, I said, look, out of all the theories we've covered, after everything we've looked into, the Reylo theory, the theory that those two are together, I think is the most compelling, and I think it has the most literal evidence for it. And the one thing that I always go back to is that Ellen interview before The Force Awakens, when it was Oscar Isaac, it was Finn,
John
John
Boyega,
Boyega, yep, Daisy Ridley, right? And the three of them are there.
and Ellen DeGeneres.
And Ellen DeGeneres, and they're talking, and Ellen is talking to them about romance, and in that interview, the reason I think that that is so significant is because that was before they were properly coached. They were all pretty new to the Star Wars thing, and they weren't as closed-lipped as they probably should have been, right? And fascinating stuff in that interview from all three of them that essentially are confirming Reylo. First, you have Oscar Isaac saying, talking about how the romance in the film is subtle. It's something you have to watch over and over again, right? Then you have John Boyega saying that he's not the romance in this film. Like, he doesn't get the girl, sort of thing, right? And then Daisy was just kind of like closed-lipped about it and was like, "Well, I guess we'll just have to see." You know what I mean? But talk about the Ellen interview a little bit, and maybe some of the other like things that really lit you up when you were researching for your theory videos.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. And I mean, I assume that basically they were told about Reylo, and there were probably other cuts of the movie where it was a lot more obvious, and they, or at least in the script, and they probably shot scenes that made it a little bit more obvious, and they probably saw cuts of the movie where it was more obvious, and then it comes out, and then people don't even know, or a lot of people don't even realize that Reylo is a thing because they cut a few things, try to make it a little bit more subtle and stuff. So, and when you hear it, from them, it sounds like they all know what's going to happen. So I don't know, like, yeah, there's just so much evidence. You know what I mean? It's so hard to like pick and choose like what
I
was
know,
the
dude.
most
When I was
exciting.
going through your videos, there was so much, and then the death and the maiden trope was a big thing, right? And there's actually a few subscribers that I have, and some people I interact with in the community that do not like the death and the maiden, um, like I
Yeah.
guess metaphor or whatever. And there's some Reylo people that are like they want it to be more of a pure romance. But I think the thing for me that was so striking was the romance doesn't really make a lot of sense. And that's what Death and the Maiden is. It's like, dude, it's supposed to be weird. It's supposed to feel a little off. You know what I mean? But I always kind of take that as like you really do not choose who you love. And sometimes the people that drive you the craziest are the ones that like you're compelled to be around, and you have that romantic kind of connection for. But yeah, man, there was so much good stuff in those theory videos. But you're right, like in that Ellen interview in particular, it really seemed like they were all literally talking like about Reylo, and it wasn't even subtle to me the way they were mentioning it. You know what I mean? And Oscar Isaac was like all about it, dude. He was like pumped to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's like I really like the Beauty and the Beast similarities, and how they I liked how they called Kylo a beast and a creature, all these different words that they used in the Beauty and the Beast movie.
Yep.
And of course, it's like if people don't like, I mean, isn't that romance a little less convincing?
I
It's
know, an
a
animal.
yeah, and Disney did it. So, and this is like, there's nothing even really taboo about this, to be honest,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah, I
It's
agree.
like, it's just, it's, I don't know, it's the light and the dark coming together once and for all.
Dude, and I love that idea. And what's cool is like looking back in retrospect, and obviously we'll have to wait until episode 9 has come and gone, and then I think we'll get a lot more information about this saga, which is cool because a lot of people like to say that like Disney doesn't have a plan or Lucasfilm doesn't have a plan. I don't agree with that, but I think that maybe the only plan they had was Reylo, and so they let so much other stuff change and happen. Like Ryan, essentially, what I think is the only thing that Lucasfilm was like, you've got to do is the hand touching scene and setting up Reylo, essentially. And he had free reign other than that. But let's talk about the comment he made about the closest we'll ever get to sex in a Star Wars movie, talking about the hand touching scene. And you spoke a little bit to what Adam Driver was going through when he did that scene. But let's take it back to the first time you watched that scene in theaters. Did that crystallize it for you? What were you thinking when you saw that scene?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to remember exactly my thoughts. Like, I remember throughout the movie, the entire movie, all I was thinking, because here's the thing, the only trailer I saw for the Last Jedi was the original teaser trailer, where the Jedi must end or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. That
Yep.
was the only trailer I saw. So I saw nothing basically.
Right.
And it was very difficult. And then when I saw the movie, I was just blown away by how much Reylo was in it, but also how they did so much in so little time. Because that's what everybody in the Reylo community was worried about this. It seemed, it was that how the hell are they going to get people on board with Reylo in just such a short amount of time? It's going to take this movie and the next movie before the 8 and 9, before they can even have any type of like scene like the hand touching scene,
Right.
And they did it in like half a movie. It was so condensed. It was so well written. It's like just think about how much more they could have done, how much more talking they could have had beforehand, and really like redeeming and showing their feelings, and like understanding why she would consider touching his hand and stuff like that after all he's done. They could have drawn it out, but they did just in such a short amount of time. It was so good, and a lot of it had, and they were really into that with the simplicity. Rian Johnson was really into the simplicity of especially their Force connection, right? He talked about how they were originally thinking, oh, well, they're going to have all these different effects and all this like blue, like Force effects and stuff, and seeing each other through the Force. And it's like and then they just realized we could just literally just have a camera on the one face and then a camera on the other face and just cut back and forth and have them make eye contact and it'll work.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did that. They had that same approach with Reylo. It's just have a lot of eye contact with the Reylo, have the hand touch, have it all really condensed. And I don't know. When I left the theater, to this, I feel like it is canon. It already is. You know what I mean? We're already 2/3 the way through the trilogy. It is canon. I don't really see.
I know.
I don't even want to entertain the idea that it's not. It is.
I can't even believe that people that watch that movie and they can sit there and honestly say, "Oh yeah, no, Reylo's not a real thing." I'm like, "What? Did you see the same movie as me?" Like, it doesn't even make sense. I remember calling people and saying like, "Yeah, no, this Reylo thing is confirmed," and the way that they did it in the movie was electric. Like, I thought it was absolutely great. And a lot of people agree, and we're going to get into the fan backlash in the next topic here. But, a lot of people that even didn't like the movie agree that the Rey and Kylo stuff was great. And so it's crazy to me because it's literally the best part of the movie. I think it's the best part of the entire saga, and I love the parallels that it has for Bastila Shan and Revan, which, like some like diehard people are like, how dare you compare those? And I'm like, dude, it's very similar. Like their Force connections, the love that they had, the one on the dark, one on the light, turning each other. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude.
And they both want family. That's really the main driver.
Yep.
Is that they both have lost their family. They both are just like crying out for somebody to like make them not feel lonely.
Exactly.
That's like their entire story. It's literally Rey like wanting to see her parents again, and knowing that they're dead and just wanting some type of family. And family doesn't just include parents. It also includes your
partner,
your partner, your life partner, and then it's also like sexual awakening, or like romantic awakening or whatever. Like that's like kind of one of the main drivers of a lot of movies, including Star Wars, and I feel like that's especially Kylo's journey too, is that he, it's like this, he's growing up and realizing, oh, there's women out there.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean? Like
right.
he was like a rebel in high school who's just like riding a motorbike and stuff and just being bad. And then this is like the girl that he realizes, like, oh, there's more to life than just being bad,
Yeah.
There's that. So I don't
And
know.
he looked so vulnerable. Like the thing is too, I think the
Why is there
acting.
a shirtless scene? There's a
I
shirtless
know, right?
scene in the movie.
Oh, and did you
What?
see the Star Wars show recently? I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, where Pablo Hidalgo and a couple other people from the story group were talking to the people on the Star Wars show. I'm blanking on Anthony Gutierrez, whatever her name is. God, I'm so sorry, I'm blanking on your name. Hopefully, we can still work together someday. But she's awesome, and they were talking about the shirtless scene particularly, and someone was making a joke about how like Kylo was probably sitting there shirtless all day waiting for the Force connection to happen, and it's so like teenage lovers, you know what I mean? Like trying to like show off and stuff. And yeah, dude, like, why would they have that shirtless scene? And they have some levity there, where she says you have a cowl or something you could put on, you know what I mean? And he's just like, nah, bro, like these pecs, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I feel like if anybody is in denial about Reylo, they are literally like, how do you explain that scene? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just you have to be really in denial, in my opinion.
Because what you're saying, if you're denying Reylo, then what you aren't denying is the fact that Disney is pushing this sort of incestual like love thing. And on Game of Thrones, like I ship Jon Snow and Daenerys, even though like she's his aunt and shit.
Spoilers.
Oh yeah, my bad.
I've only seen the first episode.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. Well, those two may or may not have a thing going on, and I totally ship it. And I'm like, yo, these two are hot together. This is awesome. But it's a totally different world. Incest is a thing that the Targaryens did their whole bloodline. You know what I mean? So it's not quite as bad, even though a lot of people think of it kind of gross or whatever. Star Wars totally different. Like that would not be acceptable.
I don't know. Maybe I should make a theory video about this because they have hired the Game of Thrones directors.
Yes, that's true. They have.
Maybe Disney does have. Oh my God, this is gonna be like an Alex Jones type of thing where they're like, oh, they're gonna be pushing incest in Disney now.
Yep, and they're turning the frogs gay. Dude, we're gonna strike for that. I swear to God. But yeah, so I agree with you though. Like anyone that's denying it, what are you saying they're pushing then? You know what I mean? That's the whole thing with that. It's kind of weird.
It would be kind of funny. Yeah, I have to admit, it would be kind of a little funny if they ended up being brother and sister, and then all of these would basically be like jokes.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like, oh, we tricked you, just like
right?
Just like Luke and Leia.
I know.
It would be kind of funny, especially the shirtless scene.
Oh,
but
man. The Reylo community, the Reylo girls would freak out. You guys think that the Phantom Menace is bad? You turn the Reylo community off like that and see what happens.
Yeah, they're
a very passionate group.
Yeah.
But, all right, so let's get into part 2. Part 2, why Reylo has been tainted. So it's no secret at this point that there's this thing going on called the Phantom Menace, the divide, the backlash from The Last Jedi, whatever you want to call it. Vince and I have talked about this before many times actually, and it's a thing, you know what I mean? It's an uncomfortable situation in the Star Wars fandom right now where a lot of people are not happy with Lucasfilm, they're not happy with Disney. So my question to you is, do you think that the general hate for Disney Star Wars is currently tainting Reylo? Like maybe people just hate Reylo because they hate Disney Star Wars, where if it wasn't so controversial, they would accept it a little bit more. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't really. I feel like one thing I was surprised by was how so many people who were against Reylo were totally on board after The Last Jedi. I feel like it was like somewhere around 80% of people were probably not against Reylo, but like didn't think Reylo was going to happen before The Last Jedi. And then after, I think now it's like 80% think it is happening and like it. And maybe 20% don't. And remember that it's a vocal minority, it's like, it's just like out of the thousands of people who watch these videos, and then the tiny percent of people who comment,
Right.
there's only a tiny percent of those people who don't like Reylo and don't believe it's real. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's a
right.
very small percentage of people. And even people who don't like The Last Jedi, most of them, their favorite part is Rey, at least Rey and Kylo, not necessarily Reylo, I guess, but basically Reylo is their favorite part, is the Force connection and their dynamic. So, and I watched a lot of The Last Jedi review videos, and in almost every review video that didn't like it, they always said that the one thing they did like was Kylo, which was cool, and Kylo and Rey's connection.
Right.
So, and I don't feel like, I don't feel like Reylo's getting hurt at all, really, with the Phantom Menace. I don't see it. There's always going to be the outliers or whatever, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think, and people aren't as upset as they think they are as well, even just in general.
Right.
It's just like once the episode 9 actually comes out, you know what I mean? Like I think things will be a lot better.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. I mean, so the thing is about Reylo is that I do feel like there is a percentage of fans out there that just hate it because it's Disney Star Wars and they're like, no, screw this. And they're mad about, like, for instance, like, comic book artists and pros and Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. They are both big time Reylo haters, and they sort of like talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, not all the time, but like I've seen Jeremy talk about it and go in on it. I've seen Ethan Van Sciver literally title a video like Kathy Kennedy wasted money on Reylo or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's definitely out there, but you're probably right. It's a minority of people. You know what I mean? So.
But I've seen a lot of Geeks and Gamers videos, and I've only heard him talk about it maybe like once.
I know.
So,
I've only heard him talk about it a couple times for sure.
I don't even think he even hates it that much from what I saw. Maybe I missed one of those big videos where he ranted. Probably,
yeah,
like
he
ranted. The big one where he got it off his chest.
Yeah,
that's probably what I missed. But
well, you know what, Jeremy, if you're watching this, or if somebody has contact with Jeremy that's watching this, like, I'd love to have Jeremy on and talk to him about Star Wars and talk to him about Reylo, because I do want to know what he thinks about it. I think it's freaking dope, and I don't think that. The thing is, I think if you were to just honestly separate the two and just talk about Reylo from the perspective that you did in your theory videos, where you're just kind of talking about all of the like evidence for it, but also why there's precedence in storytelling for it and what it actually means, I think you'd have to be crazy not to see it as a good thing. You know what I mean? So. I don't know. My opinion is probably slightly different than yours, but I see your point, and I'm really hoping that it's a minority. You know what I mean? I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see how people react to it, depending on what happens in 9. So, like, I've heard a lot of people say on my videos, they comment and they say stuff like, hey, if Reylo's confirmed in episode 9, I'm definitely done with Star Wars. Like, that would be the dumbest thing ever. Like, what is this, Twilight in Star Wars? You know what I mean? So there's definitely some people that are upset.
What's Padme and Anakin then? They must hate Padme and Anakin, because that's way more Twilight than Reylo.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
Are you kidding me? They're like in this. They're like rolling around in fields, and like it's like the acting seemed to be extremely cringy, even though apparently they might have actually had a thing. Like, the actors. That's what I heard. That they actually had a thing, so it was like weird that it was so cringy on screen. I don't know, but so maybe you have to look into that.
I'd
but
love to look into that.
There was so much cringe with that, and Anakin was so creepy with the way he liked her and stuff like that, and it was that was way more Twilight. So they must hate that too. They must hate like all romances. Like, would you except for Luke and Leia?
It's like, I know, right? I know. It is kind of crazy. I do think that sometimes they're just posturing, you know what I mean, puffing up their chest a little bit.
Maybe they do want. Maybe those guys do want a Luke and Leia kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe they do. I don't know. We don't have to go too far down.
You don't want them. I'll start some controversy right here, right now.
Oh, no.
On your channel, not on mine.
No, guys, no. This show lasted one episode. Coming back. I'm sorry, YouTube's pulling it. But let's talk more about the Phantom Menace. So, you just said something that was really cool. You said, I think that people are not as mad as they think they are, and when episode 9 rolls around, things are going to be much better. I tend to agree with you Why do you think that is? Like, what do you think is going on with these fans right now?
Well, one, it's that one, the main reason why people are mad deep down inside, it's because Luke died. That's really it.
Yep.
If Luke just would have lived, they would have still had these minor complaints, just like people had minor complaints with the Force Awakens, but the Phantom Menace wouldn't really exist, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's really, the problem is that Luke died. And then the other thing is that we have to wait a year and a half for another Star Wars movie now, you know?
Yep.
And if, and the, you know, we want it, once, if this happens, you know, once there's Star Wars movies coming out every like 3 to 6 months, you know, and there's a TV show on the Disney website, streaming service, you know, I feel like then people will be a lot happier, because here's the thing right now, if you don't like a certain movie, it's like, it's all you got, you know, so you're just angry. But if it's like, oh, you don't like this, oh, you don't like this movie, well, there's this other, you know what I mean? Like, okay, if you don't like the TV show, you got this anthology trilogy, or this trilogy by Rian Johnson, or the sequel trilogy. You pick whichever one you like, and then you just be happy about that. But now it's just like, oh, all we have is this one trilogy, and if you're upset about anything with that trilogy, it feels like your entire world is ending because it's all you have.
Right. That's a very good point. Yep. No, I
once
that.
more movies are coming out, once the TV shows are coming out, you know, because you can't please everyone. That's just, you know, so it's like everybody can pick their favorite type of Star Wars.
Yeah, and actually that's something I think I've spoke to before on videos too, where it's like, I think we're going to get to the point where the catalog is so diversified that you can pick and choose the stuff that you want. Because back in the day, I would read everything, I would watch everything, and it's not even there. Like, it's already past that now. I don't watch Forces of Destiny. Not that I like wouldn't, but it's just like, considering all the other stuff that I read and check out, it's just low on my totem pole. Like, look, I'm not a young girl, and I think that clearly Forces of Destiny is geared towards young women. That's dope. I'm not just going to, you know, pretend that I like it to seem virtuous. You know what I mean?
Right. So imagine if there were no sequel trilogy, there was just that. Whatever. I don't even know what Forces of Destiny really is, to be honest.
It's like shorts on the internet. It's like really, really short. They're like 3 to 6
minutes. And no guys are complaining about this.
Right.
But if that's all that there was right now, yeah, they would be complaining, because that's all there is. They'd be so angry. But since it's like, oh, they have something else to complain about, I guess, you know. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. I mean, like, so there's novels and comics are probably the best example, because, like, okay, so there's a Dr. Aphra comic book, you know what I mean? It's like, well, if you don't like that character, there's the Darth Vader comic, or there's the new Beckett comic, or, you know, there's this comic coming, you know what I mean? So there's so many different things. And when it comes to the novels, it's like, yeah, they have a Captain Phasma novel. Yeah, they had a novel about Jyn Erso. Yeah, they have, you know, Princess Leia novels, which actually the Princess Leia novel is dope. But, like, if you don't like that stuff, then you can read Lords of the Sith, or you can read the new Thrawn novel. You know what I mean? Like, so there's so much out there to enjoy. And I agree with you. I think that that's part of it. Like, when that live action TV show comes out, I truly believe that the live action television show with Jon Favreau is going to essentially put the fandom back in the better place. Because I think that what a TV show does, first of all, it's just longer form content. So, like, you get to spend a lot more time with these characters and on this world. And so it almost doesn't matter where the setting is, but, you know, the rumor right now is that it's Mandalore. And so, you know what I mean? You're sitting there and you've got, like, let's say it's an hour a week for 10 weeks. And then, you know, several months later, you get that same thing going on. That's like 20 to 30 hours of live action Star Wars content. You know what I mean? So there's so much to dig into there. And I think that's really going to be a nice base for a lot of the hardcores to hang out in. And then, you know, you got the Dan and Dave films, and maybe the Rian Johnson trilogy, if that happens, perhaps even, you know, episode 10, 11, 12 down the line. So there should be enough content to please everyone. And I definitely see your point there.
And here's another thing.
Yeah.
This, you know what is really going to, why the real reason I think that, or another reason that the TV show is going to put everything in place and calm everybody down, is because the TV show is going to be for hardcore Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
that's what it should be.
Yep.
Just think about just like if you are a hardcore Marvel viewer, fan, or whatever, there's, I mean, maybe they haven't done it perfectly. I don't know. I don't watch them,
Right.
but there's Netflix shows about the Marvel characters, right?
Yep.
That I didn't even know. Like people tell me the titles, and I didn't even know they were about Marvel characters. You know, so it's like that's why people aren't complaining about Marvel, is because the people who would complain are the super hardcore nerds
Yeah.
who are like into the comics and want like the hardcore like
Yep.
nerdy stuff, and if they don't like any of the movies, they just watch the TV show.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, the movies are just for mainstream crap. The good stuff is the TV show with all the, you know, that's what that. So all these people who are complaining about Rian Johnson's movie and stuff, they might not like the main movies anymore, but they won't be complaining about it like their lives are being ruined, because they'll just be like, it's just they're going to be in so much into the TV show. Honestly, eventually it'll be like they will consider Star Wars, real Star Wars, to be the TV shows.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, the movies, they'll say the movies were like corrupted by like Disney, and they'll say that, but they won't be like making videos about it. It'll just be like, they'll be over it, and like the real Star Wars, if you want to be a real Star Wars fan, you start watching these TV shows.
Yeah.
And then it's like an outlet for them. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's similar to like what happened at San Diego Comic-Con when they announced the Clone Wars coming back. Like you saw, like, and it was cool, man. I saw Jeremy crank out a video where he was like legitimately excited about Star Wars again, and I was like, dude, that's fucking sweet. Like, I want Star Wars fans to be excited about this stuff, and I get where people are coming from with the criticisms and all that. But yeah, it would be great if there was stuff that everyone could get pumped about, because I'm thinking people would much rather make content about the stuff they're into, because that's kind of more. All right, we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say really quick is also they won't have time to complain, because there's gonna be so much content in the TV shows that how could you even make videos complaining about the main movies when there's freaking like 40 episodes of this TV show out, and it's like you gotta dissect everything. There's gonna be theory videos. My channel is like not even gonna exist basically in the future, because it was Star Wars, because all the Star Wars videos that are popular are gonna be hardcore theories and stuff about the intricacies, if that's how you say that word, of the TV show. Just like people talk about comics and stuff. It's gonna be like that for the TV show, and it's just gonna be, because I'm not gonna watch them. Right. I'm not going to be watching the TV shows. Maybe I'll watch like just to get started, but even I probably still won't, just because like I personally don't want to immerse my entire life into that, just because I'm not that interested. Right. But that's just me. I think it's cool. I think I want to be honest. I kind of want to be one of those people who like watches all of the Marvel Netflix shows, and knows everything. That would be cool, but I'm just like, that's just not what I do, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, they won't even have time to be complaining. They're just going to be so excited about the TV shows.
That would be dope, man. So that's kind of where we needed to get back to. So we both kind of agree that it's getting better, but I want to take a second here to talk about how it would be nice if we got back to where people were just sharing theories and having fun. And there's a person in the YouTube community that gets a lot of crap. And I even give this person a lot of crap, but I think that we should just take a second here to acknowledge that I think Mike Zero, strangely enough, is sort of a hero and a champion for getting the fan base back on track. I was just watching one of his videos today where he said something to the effect of, I have a gut feeling that JJ is going to make 9 the best movie like ever. And kind of he made a comment about the prequels, actually talking about how the second one was really bad. People really didn't like it. But then Sith came out and was like the best one out of all the prequels. And so what do you think about Mike Zero? Do you agree that he's a hero, or where are you at with that?
Yeah, I'd agree. Obviously, in a lot of his videos, he didn't really like The Last Jedi that much.
Yeah.
So, but that's why people are these hardcore fans who don't like The Last Jedi are listening to him, because they also agree with him. But then he also is excited about the future of Star Wars. So he's getting those people excited. So like those people aren't going to listen to somebody like me who loved The Last Jedi.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, well, you like The Last Jedi, so why would I listen to your hype about Episode 9, you know? So yeah, I think he's definitely, I would agree.
Yeah, man.
He's helping putting everything back on track. And I feel like that's man, Geeks and Gamers is like got like Star Wars by like a stranglehold, or like Star Wars YouTube, you know, because like every time we make a stream, we talk about him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
It's like we should. I have twice his subscribers.
Yep.
Mike Zero has twice the subscribers. You know, like there's people with 1 million subscribers who have Star Wars. You know, and yet we're all talking about Geeks and Gamers. So it's kind of whatever. It is what it is.
It is what
but
it is.
He. If he watches this, like he also, I can't wait for the day that he stops complaining about Star Wars and starts being excited.
Yeah.
Just like he's gonna get even more views as well. He's gonna get his Star Wars channel is gonna be way bigger than mine as well. Once he is, just like Mike Zero's doing right now, he's excited and he's talking about the Clone Wars TV show, all these, because he loves that.
Mm-hmm.
And once the TV show comes out, he's going to be making videos about the TV show. So yeah, once people Mike Zero's, he's like one of the first Last Jedi haters.
Sure.
That has like started to get back into hyping or being excited about Star Wars. So
I know. And you know, it's funny because I don't like always read the comments on his videos, just because, you know, there's a lot of like people that are kind of crass and kind of rude. But even on the ones that I've seen, it's interesting to me because I've seen sort of a turn where there are people saying, instead of saying like, screw this forever, they're more like, well, I don't know about that considering what happened. And that's the first step. You know what I mean? Like, I really do feel like that they are sort of turning around, and Mike is putting out so many cool videos. Probably 70% of them are wrong. Like, they won't happen. But at the same time, dude, like, it's cool. Like, he's so excited for it. And me too. Like, when he does the video about like Darth Vader possibly being in it, you know, facing down with like Kylo Ren, it's like, hell yeah, I want to see Darth Vader and Kylo Ren have a face-to-face. That would be absolutely amazing. And there's nobody, even the biggest Last Jedi haters, there's nobody out there could deny that that would be dope as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't seen that video. I saw the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it though.
Well, there's no evidence for what it's
that's what I assumed.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
right.
how would that even happen? And I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. It's impossible. That's
actually, did I say that in a video? Because I had an idea about that as well. That I talked about this in a stream, I swear. I talked to Jungle Jenna, where like, I don't remember how it started. Basically, my idea was that Darth Vader would come back, that he would be like revived. He would be like summoned.
That would be amazing. Like, you know what I mean? And I know people are like, oh, Hayden Christensen, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, no, dude, put all of that to bed. Like, put that all to bed, because if you get Vader back, I don't care what anybody says.
God, that would be so sick.
Yeah.
Because you know how it would work too, is because you know those the artwork for the Force Awakens. What do you call it?
Yeah, the art books.
Concept art.
Yeah,
concept art.
Yep.
Was the half the Vader,
the Force Ghost that goes back and forth.
Yeah, where it's half Anakin, good Anakin, and then half Darth Vader, and then it's like turns into full Darth Vader. So basically, that's what could happen, is that the Force Ghost of Anakin gets split into two, where Darth Vader is. It's like Darth Vader is like a different person. It's almost like a split personality, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like basically what could happen is the spirit of Darth Vader is like, it splits from Anakin, and Anakin's Force Ghost remains. And then, they could actually revive Darth Vader. Just that would be crazy.
Dude, that would be crazy. That would be sick. That would be sick. All right, well, let's get into part 3. Finish it off with these questions here. So part 3 is tragedy or happy ending. At this point, guys, we've explained why we're damn sure Reylo is happening. We've talked a little bit about the fan base, how they're responding to it, talking a little bit about the future of Star Wars. But the real question is, what kind of an ending is Kylo and Rey going to have? Is it going to be a good ending where they actually get to end up together, or is it going to be a tragedy? So, first question for you, Vince. Are Kylo Ren and Rey getting a happy ending?
I say, like, I don't know. My heart says no. My heart, it's like, I don't, like, I just don't, like, I feel it not happening. I
Right.
feel like it's going to be a tragedy. It's like, that's just, but it could be a happy ending, you know? It's, um, it's just so much easier for it to be a tragedy, you know?
Yep.
It's just so much easier for Kylo Ren to die, you know, and and like maybe like a Phantom of the Opera kind of thing. Maybe even Rey falls for like Poe. Ugh. And then, you know, because Poe is such a nice guy, and like I would fall for Poe.
I know, right? Who
Like,
wouldn't?
Poe is such a cool, nice fucking guy. He's
Yep.
so cool.
Yep.
And then it could be like, yeah, Kylo is just like jealous, and he knows he missed his chance, and that it's too late, and that Rey's probably better off with somebody like Poe.
Right.
So he like just like hates himself, and then he like does like one final redeeming act, and it's like almost like basically suicide, you know? It's like, I see that kind of tragic ending happen. Or even get rid of that Poe idea. Even if they do like each other, you know, he still just wants to redeem himself for even Rey and for the galaxy in a whole.
Yeah.
And he knows that he needs to sacrifice himself to finally end the reign of the First Order. And that it's just like this moment where they both like are crying, and it's like that, maybe, you know, I'll come back, sweetheart, I promise. That thing that was in the novel that Rey heard as a voice, that nobody knows what the voice was. It was a male's voice. She was hearing this in the Force flashback when she touched Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah.
She heard, "Sweetheart, I'll come back for you, I promise." That could be Kylo, and then he doesn't come back.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So, but I honestly don't know which one I would prefer. A good happy ending or a tragedy ending, because normally I like tragedy endings.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
my entire life has been like that. But that would come back to like just like how the culture is, you know, because like when I was growing up, except for like 9/11, after 9/11 up until now, everything seemed to be peachy in the world, you know, at least in America and stuff, you know. Everything was pretty happy and like mainstream, everything was cool. So all the movies were happy, and I was like, oh, I like tragedy endings, you know.
Right.
Now things are looking a little darker. I'm like,
Right.
maybe a happy ending would be to balance everything out.
Yeah, for
you know?
sure. Maybe we need a happy ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My opinion on it is, look, there's a part of me that thinks it's possible. I think that either way, it's kind of tragic, because I think the only way Kylo makes it out is if he pretends that he's dead. So he'd have to go into exile and sort of hide his existence. And then him and Rey would have like a secret kind of romance, because, dude, there's no way the galaxy's forgiving this guy. I think that it's just cyclical in the nature of Star Wars for him to die and for him to sacrifice himself. I think it's like predetermined almost. All the Skywalkers have literally sacrificed themselves to, you know, have their comeuppance. So that's kind of the thing, right? So I also think it would be super unfair if Kylo A gets to rule the galaxy and then B gets to be redeemed without dying. Like, who is this guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he gets to do Anakin without the Anakin. You know what I mean?
I 100%. Yeah, if it's a happy ending, they will go seep into they'll live a private life on not an island, maybe an island,
maybe Octu. You know, yeah, maybe they go back to Octu and just live there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. A planet that literally nobody lives on. Maybe, honestly, just the caretakers of the island.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those people like that would be the only inhabitants of the planet that they live on, you know? So it's like they do have like this community of they're not just completely alone, two people on a planet. There's like this
Right,
community, but they're like these aliens that, what I
they're
mean,
not really
aren't going to
space
judge them.
travelers. Yeah.
They don't care, So yeah, that's what. So that I would prefer that ending. Yeah,
I'd prefer it. We'll see what happens. My gut and my heart tells me it's tragedy as well, but that doesn't necessarily take away from
maybe they go to
anything from
Naboo.
it. Dude, that would be hot. Go to Naboo.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't like sand though. All right, one more question in this area here. I want to know, what do you think about the children? I mean, like, it's heavily rumored about the Force child, and I did that video about that. I'm pretty firm believer in that. But what do you think? You think Kylo Ren and Rey are going to have children?
I don't know. Honestly, I I don't believe a single leak that has come out.
Oh,
I'm not saying that they're all wrong.
right.
I'm saying that
You're just skeptical.
yeah, I don't sorry, you cut out there. Your video at least. I feel like I don't know. My gut just says that probably like 95% of the leaks are all just completely made up. And I feel like the baby one is probably just a completely made up leak it's just completely made up. That doesn't mean that it won't happen though, because you can make up a leak that will happen. You know what I mean? Like make up a leak that Luke is a Force ghost. It's going to happen regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that's probably what these leaks are. It's just people just making stuff up, but they're believable because they're basing them on their own predictions. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And if it's a happy ending, they're going to have kids. They're on that island or that planet, they live happily ever after in I don't know what the word is, but like not exile, but secrecy or whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously they would have kids then. So it's really a question of if they have kids with a tragedy ending.
Right.
And well, with Disney saying that this is the last Skywalker story,
you'd think
that would actually push me towards no,
right.
because if they did have one, then there would be more Skywalker stories.
That's the thing, right? Yep. And
with the happy ending, they can still have kids and not have any Skywalker stories in the future because
it's secret.
The Skywalkers, it's secret, and they just always live on that planet forever, basically,
Yep.
So they start their own little society.
Yeah.
They might need. It might be an Adam and Eve kind of thing. Then we're getting back into incest,
I know, right? Disney, what are you doing?
you can't. They can't repopulate a whole planet with just Kylo and Rey and their kids. They need some more people.
A couple of the caretakers, maybe get a little free. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd say like maybe 65, maybe 70, 30. 70% chance.
I got you.
Like probably, like, I mean, they like each other. They're both probably fertile. Like so it's probably going to happen. Just like
when a man loves a woman. Yeah. I got you.
You put a man and a woman in space.
I mean, Jesus, they were almost getting it on like through the Force. They almost didn't even need to be together. So yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. Last question, my friend, and then we'll get you out of here. What do you have to say to the Reylo haters? What's the one thing you would want to say to all the Reylo haters? They watch this whole video and they're still just like, no. What do you say to those people?
That's a really good impression. Honestly, like, it's okay. It's okay to like romance, you guys. Yeah. I feel like if you like romance, you really do like romance, and you don't complain about all romance being like, you're not afraid of cooties, and you still don't like Reylo, then that's fine.
Right.
Completely. Like you like romance, you just don't like Reylo, that's fine. Don't ruin everybody else's like for it though,
Right.
But if you don't like it, that's completely fine. But if you don't like it because you're like a little hater who hates all romance, and you're like, you hate Twilight, you hate Anakin Padme, you hate all chick movies, I feel like you gotta just like it's okay to like romance, you guys. It's awesome. You know, just
Yeah, man.
like you don't have to tell your friends about it if you're that.
Yeah, if you care
uh,
that much about what people think, you know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah.
No, dude, I think that's a great answer. Like, it's okay to like romance. I like that quite a bit. Well, Vince, thank you so much for being on the show, for helping me relaunch this crazy show. Before we get out of here, where can people find you on the internet and talk about some crazy videos that you got coming out?
Yeah, just search Vincent Vendetta and you'll find me on YouTube, Twitter. Pretty much just use those two. And Twitch, Mr. Big Noodle on Twitch. But I don't use Star Wars videos there or streams. And yeah, my next video, which I've been working on, which every time I feel like I know I'm gonna make a video in like 2 days. I'm gonna spend hours and hours researching, and I've been researching for like the past month on this new theory, and it's almost finished. But it's so exciting. I think it's my best theory yet. Um, and it's like there's so much to it. You don't even know half the stuff. So I have some exciting stuff. It's about Snoke and Rey and how Snoke could possess Rey
Yeah.
in Episode 9. There's so much more to it though, and that's going to be coming out very soon. I'm so close to finishing that.
Nice. Definitely,
But
people
yeah.
will look forward to that. Guys, of course, you know my name is Josh. You can find me here on the Den of Nerds. Check me out on Instagram. Josh likes comics with an X. A lot of big things coming around the corner for the Den of Nerds. Thank you guys so much for your support. Go over and watch Vince's videos if you have not. He does the best Star Wars theory videos on the internet, in my humble opinion. And that's going to do it for today's show, guys. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.
Bye.